Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Go bow your heads and pray with me. Lord, how great you are that every breath we breathe in and every breath we breathe out is you. And I just encourage with so much darkness going on right now, so much change in the world, that we're able to remember you bring the light, you bring the healing, you bring the restoration. And I just pray that whatever message you have given Taylor, that we are able to keep our minds and our hearts open and our ears listening, and to take away whatever message you have planned for us individually, to take throughout our week and throughout life, to move on maybe into the next chapter, or to continue through the wrestling we're going through, Lord. And I pray this in your name. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Before we get started, we want to welcome you to Infuse Church. One church meeting in 3 locations: Cedar Rapids, Tiffin, and online. My name is Stephanie, and I'm one of the pastors here. Infuse Church is a church for imperfect people like me and you to explore faith and find community. No matter where you've been or what you've done, we pray that today will help you take a step forward in your faith. If it's your first time today, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Visit our first-time guest table for more information about Infuse and to receive your free gift. If you're joining us online, we'd love to say hello. Fill out the online connection card so we can connect with you and share more about Infuse Church. For more information and to stay up to date with what's happening here at Infuse, sign up to receive our weekly email, check out our social media, or download our Infuse Church app to stay up to date. Thank you so much for joining us here at Infuse Church.
Habit of being late this morning.
We're back.
We're back. We do so much. We run around.
Good morning, Infuse Church. We have few but a mighty crew today.
Yes,
We've got everybody online, but remember, it's about you. It's not about how many show up. It's about who showed up and who logged on today, okay?
Right. I'm Britt.
I'm Lauren.
And we're on the worship team. And we have a couple big ideas for you. The first one is coming up October 8th, 6 to 7:30, right here down the hall in the cafeteria. We're going to have our small group launch, which it's just about finding community, finding your people, and it's just so great to be a part of a group. I mean, I was out of a group for a while, and now I'm in a group, And I mean, there's just something about it, either whether we meet weekly or bi-weekly. I'm going to stumble through my words. It's just such an opportunity to grow in your faith, not only by yourself, but like with others, and just have that support system where you can share your burdens, talk through faith struggles. It's just amazing. So show up and talk to the different groups, see which ones, kind of fit you. You can always, no one's going to like kick you out, but you can go join a group, see if it's a good fit. And if not, find another one. So yeah, join us and be there October 8th.
And the next big thing we have coming up is the Halloween hike. We do this every year down at the auxiliary fields. We set up a big old trick-or-treating.
It's like a line.
Yeah.
It's a hike.
It is.
It's a hiking trail.
For the kids, it is going to be Saturday, October 18th from 4 to 6 p.m. So if you want to bring your kids, I want to see some cool costumes, and that means like parents involved. So Quinn, I better see something creative.
I think they're going to have a family costume. I feel it. I just feel it. See? Oh,
That's
perfect.
good. I'm
Awesome.
excited for it.
Yeah, there's lots of people going to be there.
A ton of people. We
Yeah,
have a
so
ton of
we have,
community vendors and
community support throughout the
yes,
community.
yes.
We got the city of Tiffin.
Yes, the city of Tiffin.
Yep, they're the fire department, the sheriff,
The
and
gym.
the gym.
Yes. iGym.
Yeah, iGym. Yeah, so many different people and businesses in the community supporting the community, which that's what it's all about.
Yes, and we need your help too. There's a sign-up sheet out on the table to volunteer to serve for the Halloween hike. So if you're not bringing your kids, it'd be fun to just dress up and volunteer.
Yeah, mine are old
Absolutely.
enough. They're going to volunteer. So they're going to dress up, volunteer. And if you don't have time to serve that day, maybe something's going on, you've already had scheduled, donate candy. Because that is a big thing. There are I think it was almost 1,000 people last year. It was a lot.
ton.
Yeah. But if you're not serving there, we'd invite you to serve on Sundays here. We're looking for volunteers, people that want to come, connect, and make a real difference. And if you enjoy greeting people, maybe you like to sing, or maybe you would like to kick me and Lauren off the stage and come up here and do announcements, that would be wonderful. Not that we don't love doing this and seeing you guys, but I feel like there's some talent out there that really wants to get up here.
I hear it.
Or if you're not an upfront person, production.
In the back.
They need you, and that's how we make it happen. So you can
Sometimes it's
see
fun.
our beautiful faces on your screen, whichever screen you're watching, your phone, your TV, your computer. But Taylor's going to talk about that. I know he likes to talk, so we're going to watch his video.
Hey, Infuse Church, Pastor Taylor here. I want to encourage you to take a next step today. For example, we would love for you to take a step of helping to make our production team, our sound, our video, our lights on Sunday possible by joining the team. And you could try it out. In fact, we'll train you on everything. You don't need to know anything. We'll train you on how to do it. But I'll be honest with you, we're not going to be able to continue to live stream our services for a couple of weeks if we don't get 2 more people to sign up on our production team. Or maybe a better fit for you would be inspiring the next generation to follow Jesus and learn some things about Jesus yourself down in our kids ministry area. Or making Infuse Church the welcoming and wonderful place that it is by being a greeter on Sunday. Either way, these are great next steps to getting to know people and making an impact today. So I want you to really consider taking that step, starting right now by letting the announcement people know, letting me know after service, sending us an email, info@infuse.church, or going to infuse.church/connect and signing up to shadow one of these wonderful serving areas and make an impact right now.
Taylor is so right. It is so great to build that community, and changes your life, but you're also reaching the people who maybe want to stumble into church on Sunday, or who's found us online and they're like, hey, I haven't been to church, but this church looks cool, so I'm just going to listen in. Your support really helps get all that done. And plus, it's really fun to come and hang out with everyone. We goof off a bit. So, I don't know. Joe and Dennis are pretty serious about setting up. They get all this done real quick. So we appreciate that. But yes, it definitely helps.
The next thing is that your financial generosity meant that we raised and gave away $68,000 to local and international nonprofits, including Kids in Need and so much more. And Susan has a video for you to learn about how you can learn more about how your giving impacts the lives of those we're donating to, but as well as just in the church. So give it to Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan, the missions president, and I'm excited to share with you the 24-25 fiscal year missions financials. We raised over $68,000, and it's all documented right here on the sheet. So on your way out, go ahead and grab one so you have a better understanding of how your generosity impacted our community.
Okay, so we don't actually have those sheets today, but if you scan the QR code, you can see that financial report. There's a ton of details on there. If you're one of those people that really wants to know why we do Be Rich every year, which is coming up in November, it's a campaign where we raise a ton of money and we give it all away, every single cent. And that financial sheet is going to tell you exactly who we gave it to and what they used it for. So
Yeah, so if you are thinking, okay, that's great, I love missions, but I want to talk about giving to Infuse because I really want to help out our church here. That's great too. There's so many ways to invest in Infuse and into changing lives because, you know, we do have lives changed here, and we do have, you know, out in missions lives being changed. But there's a couple ways to give. You can give in person, online by scanning the QR code, mail, or just by serving. If you don't think you have the financial funds to do it right now, maybe you have the time. So you can give in many different ways to help us here at Infuse just reach the community and change lives. So the church is not a building or place, but it is the people, you people, all in here. And like I said, it's the community of people. We just love our community. And so we're going to take some time to get to know each other. Fall is right here around the corner. So what's your favorite thing about fall? The cozy sweaters, the pumpkin everything, pumpkin flavored everything. I mean, everything. It's gotten out of hand. Or the changing leaves. What was yours, Lauren?
I said earlier, my favorite thing about fall is when it's not 80 degrees in September.
Yes, and unfortunately, it's going to be like 86 today. So.
Yes, I'm ready for that chill October weather.
Yeah.
Just come on.
Good tailgating weather, good bonfire weather,
Yes,
good just chilling
yes.
outside weather.
100%.
In your sweatshirt. So, all right. So we're going to have you guys talk to someone maybe that you didn't drive here with, maybe haven't seen for a while, or any new faces. Go ask this question and talk to each other, get to know each other a little more. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Fall, people love fall. It's my favorite season. It's not a competition. My favorite season that I'm voting for in America's next top season is fall. People that love fall, they go crazy for the foliage. They're like, oh, the foliage! Let's drive by the foliage! It's so beautiful the way the leaves die. They're so pretty right before they fall to their death. We think it's beautiful. It's the leaves hospice. It also helps that the leaves can't talk. If they could talk, they'd be like, ah! Give me chlorophyll! Why are these people driving by and smiling at me?
Happy fall, everybody. It's not fall yet, is it? But it is fall officially? Last week, wow. Well, it doesn't feel like it. That's a blessing. Hey, we're wrapping up this series today called Hope in the Darkness. If you're joining us in person or online, we haven't met yet. My name is Taylor, and I am going to go off my notes today. And so apologize in advance if this doesn't work, or hopefully I don't say anything that I didn't think through well enough in advance. So, we started this series, and it wasn't necessarily a response. I was already planning to talk about this, but it just became a lot more relatable because of the events of the week preceding 3 weeks ago, Sunday, and that was, specifically, it was the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And so I think that made it, the emotion surrounding that event made the topic way more, relatable, visceral, emotional. And, thinking about that moment in time and all of the noise, all of the voices, all of the opinions and thoughts that people were putting out there it was a lot. And the outcome, in some cases, consequences and results of all of that emotion and response still continues to play out today. And one of the things that I think was so shocking is, and very evident to me, especially on this topic of darkness, is how it wasn't easy or universal to agree on what was dark about that moment in time. In other words, some people said, and immediately said, this is terrible, this is murder, this is assassination, this is really bad. Some people said karma. Some people responded to the situation as, this is a great statement of Christianity and faith and martyrdom, and some people questioned all that went with Christianity and religion in that moment. And some people brought up that the darkness of that moment was the discontinuity or the inconsistency between the outcry related to Charlie and the outcry related to the Democratic House leader in Minnesota, and whose name most of us probably don't even know, right? And the fact that she was assassinated in her own house. And that, hey, one got way more attention than the other. And that in and of itself is notable, and that in and of itself is dark. My point being is, in saying that, is not who is right, who is wrong. My point in saying that is, do you notice that we struggled, and I think we still continue to struggle greatly on what is the darkness? It was not immediately easy to just jump out and say, these are all the parts that are wrong with this, and all of us came together more or less and said, yep, we agree that these things were bad, these things were wrong. And the darkness that comes with it, the inability to identify what was dark, what was broken in that moment, I think makes it very difficult then to heal or get better. Because you think about it, I mean, this is such a silly example in comparison, but like when my kids will come to me and they have a scratch or a wound, or sometimes they don't have any visible, injury that I can actually see, but they'll point and they'll say, this hurts. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it looks normal. And they're like vehemently, unapologetically insistent that they need a Band-Aid for that spot right there. And I'm like, but I don't see anything wrong. Now, I can continue down that path of telling them there's nothing wrong, but that is definitely the path of most resistance. Because until I agree with them that this is wrong and this is bad, we're going to have an issue. And I think, unfortunately, not only is this so prevalent in our culture today, in our nation today, but it is also such a struggle for us personally. Because the problem is, again, if we don't understand the darkness, if we can't agree on what the darkness is and what it looks like, again, how are we going to solve it? How are we going to come together and change it or make it better or do something about it? It's the same when you sit there and you say, what's good? If you've ever read the book Mere Christianity, a really great a place to start when you talk to somebody about faith is, how do you know what good is? How do you define right and wrong? Because if you can't, and if you think about it, there is no definition, right? We have laws that say we think this is what's right and what's wrong, but really there's no moral compass or anything that says this is better than this. Like, that difference, if we can't identify that, we are going to struggle. You're going to struggle. Think about this. In your relationships, especially if you're married, dating, engaged, wherever you are in that, think about this. Most of the time, a number of your arguments and a number of your tension points have to do with the fact your spouse didn't see the darkness that you see. Or to make a little bit of light out of it, you don't see the darkness in yourself that they see in you. And vice versa. And so that creates tension and frustration, because then they're sitting there and saying, like, I'm trying to bring some light to the issue and you don't even see the issue. How dare you? Right? So what is it we do? In these kinds of moments, how do we bring ourselves out of the chaos, out of the social media spheres, out of the opinion spheres, the news spheres, this is what I'm right, you're wrong sphere? How do you deal with that in your workplace when your boss is like, this is the way to go, and you're like, I'm not so sure, and vice versa, and there's all of these conflicts. I mean, what are you gonna do? Where do you turn? Now, easily you're gonna just say, well, the answer for every question is Jesus. Great, but it's not that simple. Because if it was, then we wouldn't be having all of these arguments. We wouldn't be at each other's throats quite like we're supposed to, quite like we are. In fact, I would argue a lot of times when it comes to identifying the darkness in our world, we kind of act like the children. We're like going to God and saying, look, there's a boo-boo, and God's looking and he's like, I'm not seeing the pain that you're seeing. In fact, could it be that some of your pain is self-inflicted? Maybe could it be possible that you're making the pain more than it actually is? You're seeing darkness where there actually isn't darkness, or perhaps the darkness is in you. One of the best ways that I can think for us to step out of the chaos, step out of the cycles that we get in with our spouse, step out of the cycles we get in with our kids, step out of our own head for just a second to breathe and think and be curious and try to just drive a wedge between us and the mass and the crazy, is for us to think about God, and not just think about God, but think about what breaks God's heart. And I apologize, because I've talked about this before here in Tiffin, and I said, we were talking about Nehemiah, and I said, one of the best ways for you to figure out a place to serve, a place to get involved, a place to contribute, is to think about what breaks your heart. And if it breaks your heart, then maybe that would be a great area to contribute, to be generous, to serve, to help. And I think there's some truth to that, but it can be a very, very, very dangerous slope, because what you think is darkness, what breaks your heart, may not be the best thing. You might even be a little bit off. In fact, your heart might even be deceitful. And so what I want to suggest to you is, instead, what if we break out of the mold, break out of the crazy, and we don't figure out what breaks our heart, but that we figure out what breaks God's heart, and we say, I want my heart to break for what breaks your heart, God. If that breaks your heart, God, I want it to break my heart. Could you help me understand that, Lord? Could you transform my heart into be a heart that mirrors you, that wants to follow you? Because otherwise, this is where we misplace hope. We misplace the good things. We misplace hope. We misplace healing. We apply the fruits of the Spirit in the wrong places, because our heart says this is what we should do, and God's like, that's not exactly what I would say is the right direction to go. I'll give you an example. Okay, and I've shared this story before, but I don't think I've shared it in this kind of lens before. And the story was about my first car. Some of you might remember this, but essentially I was at youth group, and while I was at youth group, somebody hit my car, even though it was parked, and they hit it so bad it bent the frame and they totaled the car. And so then I had to wait a couple months to find a new car, trying to figure out what was the right thing to do. And in that time, as a high schooler, if you're out of car for a month or two, I mean, you're just so uncool. Right? Because you got to get a ride from mom and dad, and everybody's like, oh, how's your mom? How's your dad? And you're sitting there like, somebody else, it's not my fault, I'm cooler. Well, that's high school. Yeah, anyways. So as I walk with my instrument into the band room, okay. Hey, this was me. I did that, okay? I'm a saxophone and my choir letter on my letter jacket. Okay, nobody else did, but okay. Anyways, and so I'm finally, we get a new car, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great. Drive it to school like 1 day or 2 days. And then, as some of you know how the story goes, I had the first period off or whatever, that I didn't have to go to school right away. My dad took my brother to school, dropped him off. On the way home, Dodge Ram runs a stop sign. Dad could not dodge, so the Ram hit him and flipped the car up on its side, spun it like a top, and totaled the new car. And so he calls me, he says, Taylor, sorry, I dinged up your car a bit. Okay, and so here is my hypocrisy. In fact, I have a couple of these. So if you're like, wow, Taylor, this is like confession of your own hypocrisy day. It is a little bit, but hopefully it's helpful for you, because, I'm learning along with you. But in that moment, it's so embarrassing to say, but I was so angry. Because it's like, finally, I got the new car, and now it's gone, and I got to start it all over again. I remember walking up to the scene. There's the fire trucks. They had to lift the door open on top to get him out, and their ambulance and all this. And there was the lady who hit him, and her kids, I think, were there. And I walked up, and I was so angry, and I just got out of the car, and because I drove my dad's car, I got up, and I just walked to the car, and I just looked angry at the car. And this is so humiliating. But this was this moment there, I think it was a firefighter, and he came up and he's like, I think you should probably go and first check on how your dad's doing. And oh man, it's still like right in my gut, like, oh man, that is still so such a strong emotion of shame, of like, wow, what in the world was I thinking? Cars can be replaced, but people cannot, right? You tell people that when you get in an accident, you're like, well, at least you're okay, right? Because that's the priority. But here's the thing. In that situation, my heart broke for my car, and in that situation, God's heart broke for what? Not only did he probably break for my dad, but his heart was probably breaking for the lady who hit him. And the fact that for the next couple of months, she would avoid it because she didn't have insurance. And so the insurance companies were going after her, and she was trying to avoid it, and it was really, frustrating. She's trying to get her car fixed, but not take responsibility for it and all that. You imagine all the time and energy and stress that caused her, and his heart's breaking for that. And my heart was not even breaking for my own father, let alone the person who hit my car. And can you see how deceptive and how quickly our minds can get engrossed in the darkness that we make up in our own hearts, but is not a reflection of God's heart. The constant struggle that we have daily, even today to see, God, how do you see it? How does your heart breaking help my heart break for what your heart breaks for? I mean, you think about the people in recent, that you feel like you were hurt by, that betrayed you, that walked away from you, and what is your focus? Your focus is your anger. Your focus is going up to them and saying, well, here's how you could fix you. Here's the Band-Aid to put over yourself. This is what's wrong with you. Here's the darkness in your own life for doing that. And what if God's sitting there like, I'm brokenhearted that they did that, but I'm brokenhearted that the bitterness is growing in your life. That has the potential to become real darkness, not just a wound, but you're going to keep scratching at that. It's going to keep bothering you, and you're going to keep itching it like my middle child does. And oh my gosh, it's like, Evie, stop! You got to cover it with like gauze and everything so she doesn't scratch it. Because what happens? You scratch that long enough, what's going to happen? It's going to scar. And now you have a permanent scar that said you couldn't let that wound go. You couldn't let that darkness go. And God's sitting there like, yeah, my heart's breaking. I'm sad that they did that. My heart's broken that they betrayed you, but I'm so sad that you are suffering in your own darkness. It's like Jonah. Jonah's like, there were so many examples in the Bible, but Jonah is just such a stark example of this. You may have heard of him, and we always focus on him and the fish, but what did God say? He went to Jonah and he said, hey, Jonah, I need you to go to Nineveh and tell them that they're messing up. I need you to go to Nineveh and tell them that they're in darkness. Jonah sitting there, and Jonah's like, I don't want to do that. Why? Why did Jonah not want to go and tell people they're in darkness and try to help them? Because Jonah thought maybe God could forgive them. And Jonah didn't think that they deserved forgiveness. Jonah kind of wanted them to just live in their darkness and their sin. Jonah wanted to leave them high and dry. And God's like, no, go and tell them. And so Jonah tried to fight it, and God, taught him a couple lessons along the way, but he still didn't learn it. He finally got to Nineveh. He went in, he said, stop doing all the darkness that you got going on here. Stop it. And the people of Nineveh said, you're right. Jonah, we're tired of being in darkness. We don't want to do this anymore. Think about that. They could have been left in their darkness because Jonah couldn't let go of his own. In fact, the only reason Jonah really made it there is because God had to have him swallowed by a big fish. That feels extreme, and we're like, is that really happened? Is that true? And we sit there, I'm like, okay, seriously, sometimes we are so stuck in our darkness, the only way we're going to get out of it is because a giant fish comes and swallows us. Literally, people like that. And they would need a whale of a tale to get them to break out of their cycle of darkness to be like, you're right, I could be the problem. I think that's a little bit of the sarcastic humor that goes into the book of Jonah. But then what does Jonah do? Jonah sits there, and he doesn't want anything to change. Here's what it says in Jonah 3:10. When God saw that Nineveh turned from their evil ways, God changed his mind about the calamity that he said he would bring upon him, and he did not do it. But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and he became angry. Because Jonah couldn't let go of the darkness he saw in them and the darkness he had in his own heart. Jonah did not say, God, what breaks your heart? I want that to break my heart too. Jonah made it all about him. And so he got out, he sat on the east side of the city, and he just sat there waiting for God to wipe him from the face of the planet. And so what does God do? And thank goodness for the Lord. Because even though we sit and wallow sometimes in our own darkness and bitterness, here comes God, and God says, I'm going to raise up a bush to protect you from the sun and take care of you. And you know what? That really ticked Jonah off more. Like, how dare you, Lord? I don't need you. I mean, just come on, Jonah. Like, you're not even willing to take some love and compassion and care from God in your bitterness and your darkness. That's how blind he was to his own issues. That's how blind he was. It's like, Jonah, hello, wake up. Stop what you're doing. Stop being that hypocrite. But how many times I know in my own life I have done that. I know before, as I started getting into ministry, we came here, we started infuse.church, and we would office out of the Church of the Nazarene on the east side of Iowa City, and they have Icy Compassion, who we've helped in the past and partnered with on things. And on Wednesday nights, they had a meal that would be free and open to everyone. And so a lot of people in poverty would come and eat that meal. And so by helping and serving that meal, I would sit down and break bread. Because you can't just like go to the food bank and here's some food and here's some food. But like sitting and breaking bread with someone, you get to know them and their story. And I sat there and I had to be humbled, because for so long I sat there and I thought to myself, poor people, if only we could just put a Band-Aid, we could help heal their work ethic, then the problem would be solved. If only we could just come in and teach them some financial responsibility, teach poor people how to manage money, how to take care of credit cards, all that kind of stuff, then that would solve the problem. You know, I think God's heart breaks for the poverty of the world, but in that moment, God's heart broke for my pride. God's heart broke for my lack of patience, for my lack of being willing to see the body of Christ as something diverse enough that there are going to be people that could be a part of the body of Christ and not be capable of working 40 hours, 30 to 40 hours a week. Like just not capable. Emotionally, physically, not capable of working that hard. And that doesn't mean they're less valuable. It just means that they don't have the same skill set or the same responsibilities that I have. It does not mean they are less loved. And it was so painfully humbling, because then when you get to know these people and you get to know this group, this demographic of people, and you get to see how they're the ones in so many times serving the food to other people when the people of means wouldn't even be willing to do that, you're like, wow. Here I am, so sure I have the darkness all figured out, and if only the darkness could be cured in these ways, then it would be a problem solved. And really, the darkness was in me. Does God's heart break? I mean, this is the moment where you got to sit there and say, does God's heart break for the poor, or does God's heart break for those who won't serve and love the poor? I looked at those for so many years. I looked at those in prison. And I would say, you know what, if we just heal their sin, and if we could heal the fact that they've lost hope, and if we could heal their hate, then things would go better and, solve all the problems. And then you go and start visiting them in prison. I mean, not to hit the nail on the head too hard, but you just start going and doing what Jesus said that you should do. And then you start to meet with them. And when you go in, well, in my situation, in this particular instance, you would go in all day. Like you'd start at 10 o'clock in the afternoon, you stay till 3, because if you're going to go through all the work and the process to get into this particular federal prison, you're going to be there for a while. And before I knew it, I was being taught things about the Bible. Things about the Bible that I weren't even aware that were there. Like we would talk about, how do you know that this is true? We'd talk about biblical authority. How do you know that this is genuine, this is true and right insofar as, context and all available information? And I can never forget it. One of the things that this particular gentleman brought up to me, he said, one of the reasons that he's like, I'm sure this is real, is because Paul in 2 Timothy lost his favorite coat. And so in his letter to Timothy said, hey, man, before you leave, I forgot my coat. Could you bring it? And I'm like, that's actually a really good point. Because, it's not like Paul was like, I'm writing the Bible, I'm going to make this up and all this stuff. He's like, no, I really like that coat. Could you please bring it? What a genuine statement. And here I am. And what was the darkness? Was the darkness the sin of the prisoners? Was God's heart broken for them? I'm sure he was, but his heart was also, and probably in some ways equally broken for my pride or arrogance and my assumptions that I placed over the lack of hope that I had in these people. Does God's heart break for the prisoner, or does God's heart break for those who won't visit them? Here's Jonah again. God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be so angry at this bush? And Jonah said, yes. So angry I could die. The Lord said, you are so concerned about a bush for which you did not labor, which you did not grow. It came into being in the night. It perished in the night. And should I not be concerned with Nineveh, the great city in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not know their right from their left? Jonah, your heart is breaking for your own pride and your own arrogance. Your heart is not breaking for what breaks my heart, God. Here's the problem. Christians, we sit there and we're like, we are the perfect detectors and purveyors of sin. Like, we get this super mixed up. We think we can go around and we're like, sin, 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 sin. And how do we know? Because we're Christian. Okay, I just want to clarify something. The only one who is perfect and can stand justly to decide right from wrong, or good from bad, or sin from holiness is God. If you don't look to God for that wisdom and be sure that it is from the Lord, then you are treading on very dangerous territory. But we don't do that. Christians throw it out all the time. This is right, this is wrong. We know 100%. It's like, are you sure though? Are you really sure your heart is super in line with God's? That it's breaking in the same things that break God's heart? We're sitting there, God, change my spouse. They're the problem. And God's sitting there like, maybe the real darkness is your pride. Maybe the real darkness is in your unwillingness to listen. Maybe the real darkness is your lack of unforgiveness. God, deal with these people who don't serve and give and show up to the church, or the pastor doesn't do what I want him to do, or not do what I want him or her to do. And it's like God's heart's like, maybe I'm leaving a void in this ministry for you to step into. You just don't want to. Maybe God's heart is broken because how you're leading these people is more out of a worldly way than a spiritual way. Maybe God is heartbroken because you're not taking the responsibility that you kind of know that he's been calling you to for a long time. Maybe God's trying to call you out for your own lack of growth. And truly, you're not bitter about other people's failure. You're bitter kind of about your own. But we can't see that because we're so consumed with the darkness around us rather than the darkness inside of us. I mean, we sit here, and for those of you who are aware, come June, we're not going to be able to meet here at Tiffin Elementary next year. But we sit there and say, I'm heartbroken about the next, Tiffin facility situation, or frustrated about the school district, or the darkness you see is, the uncertainty that comes with the future. When really God's sitting there and his heart's breaking like, hey, what if we spent equal or more time that we are on a building, instead we spend it on discipleship? What if we long, maybe God's heart's broken for how we long for physical solutions to spiritual problems, or physical growth instead of spiritual transformation? Is our heart breaking for the same things that God is? Too many of us, we just get so assured that we are, this is the right way, versus seeing God work. I mean, I would just love it if more and more of us would just be like, oh man, I'm just struggling with the Lord here. I really feel like he's telling me this, but I'm not so sure. And then you get in community groups. This is one of the reasons that community groups are so important. Small groups are so important, is because then you get in a small group that you can build trust and relationship with over time, and then you get connected, and you're like, hey, I'm just, I'm hearing this from the Lord. I'm really feeling like this is the direction. What do y'all think? What do you hear from the Lord? Or could you pray with me in this? And then next week we can come together and see. And it's like, boy, now we got people who are coming together and saying collectively, let's make sure that we're looking at the darkness the right way. Let's make sure we're not Jonah sitting there like, assuredly that is the worst thing in the world. Assuredly, they just need to get wiped off the face of the planet. And instead, we are so sure in that we are seeking the Lord's heart above all. We must seek the Lord's heart, not just in the hard days, but in every day. So when crises like political assassinations or hot button issues, see, this is a problem, all these hot button issues out there, and it's super easy to get distracted by them, or in my own opinion, oversimplify them. Right? We look at educational issues, we look at gun issues, we look at sexual and identity issues, we look at pride issues, we look at political issues, we look at all of those issues, and honestly, I'm guessing that God looks at them a little bit more complexly than we do. But how many people are standing up and saying, how many times you've ever heard someone on TV or social media say, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm still seeking the Lord's heart on this. Not just in the hard days when things are going wrong, but I'm just going to keep seeking the Lord every day. I mean, I still struggle to look at the poor as a category of people who could be doing more. That is something that I fight daily. But thanks be to God for those moments in which he has shown me the way, because it's in his way that you will find goodness and truth and light enough to know, that's my pride. That's that darkness coming back out again. But I put myself in the path of, hey, I want to follow Jesus here, and I'm just going to open my eyes and open my ears and open my heart, Lord, to what your heart is. Does your heart break for these people? Lord, sign me up. I want to be the first to have my heart break for the same thing yours breaks for. You need to have an alarm in your mind, in your heart, that when you are so sure about something, when you are so angry, when you are so emotion-filled, when you think that you have this brokenness and this hurt and all of that figured out, that you could have a little humility enough, a little alarm that goes off and say, you know what? When I'm looking at Easton's arm and she's pointing, she's saying there is an owie right there, and I'm sitting there like, I know there isn't, that I would have a little humility to say, you know what? Maybe I need to look at this differently. Maybe there's something beneath the skin that's going on. Maybe there's something I can't see that's happening. Maybe God could, though. Maybe God could be that figure that stands above the chaos that we can look to and say, I just want to know how you look at it, Lord. And until I know with certainty that I have your heart figured out, I'm going to act and step and speak with humility and patience and kindness and mercy. Lord, humble me, teach me, so that every day, even the hard days, I'm just seeking your heart, Lord. What breaks your heart, Lord? Not just what breaks mine. Let's bow our heads and pray together. Lord, as we come before you, I just want to invite all of us as individuals to pray our own prayer. That maybe something that I say or speak in the next few minutes, convicts, inspires, directs. But this is a personal prayer, not just Taylor doing the work for us. So Lord, I just want to invite you in to a personal relationship with everyone here, with everyone watching, that this is a time of growth between you and our hearts. Lord, I feel the darkness. Lord, I feel how lost so many people are right now. Not necessarily in a heaven and hell kind of way, but more in the fact that there's so many searching for clarity, searching for truth, searching for grace, searching for love, searching for direction, searching for right and wrong in the darkness. Lord, that could be us right now too. We could have been in the darkness for so long, Lord, and we could have been wandering for so long, Lord, and we maybe still wander. Maybe we're just coming to terms with the fact of how honest we need to be with ourselves, that we have been wandering and we have not really placed our feet, our heart on the rock of salvation. That we find ourselves more than not in the fog, in the darkness that surrounds us in this world, Lord. And if that is us today, I would invite each and every one of us that's our story, that's where we feel that we just need to pray a prayer of invitation to say, Lord, I accept your love. I walk away from my shame and my guilt and into your love and embrace. And for those of us, Lord, we've been following you. We love you. We're devoted to you. We want to grow with you. But Lord, we have not sought your heart like we have sought our own strength and our own wisdom and our own pride. Lord, myself included. Lord, help us to be the people that don't fall into the same traps as the people of the past. That we don't become the Israelites standing before Goliath and our heart breaks because the mountain in front of us, this fierce warrior in front of us scares us, or we stand at the edge of the promised land and we're scared because we're intimidated by what stands before us or the unknown of the future, Lord. And we see that as in darkness and it breaks our hearts. Help us to not fall victim to that. Instead, to look at those moments of uncertainty and those large barriers in front of us. And instead, Lord, that we would be followers of you. We would be your people who look to you and say, Lord, remind me what your heart is. Because, Lord, I think your heart, when the people were faced with Goliath, broke for your people's lack of faith. Lord, I think your heart broke when your people were right on the edge of the promised land after years in the desert. I think your heart broke because of their lack of trust in you. Lord, when we look at our neighbors and we see what they have, and there's that time when your nation, your people, they looked and saw what the neighbors had, and they wanted what the neighbors had. They wanted a king. And your heart broke because your people weren't willing to make you king. They needed a physical king on earth to guide them. Lord, help us to be willing to see the plank in our own hearts, in our own eyes. Be willing to pull it out and say, Lord, you are my king. Lord, your heart is the heart that I want mine to be shaped after. Lord, help Infuse Church be a church here in Tiffin and Cedar Rapids and those online, a church of people who want hearts that honor you, that glorify you, that reflect the heart of the living God. Lord, help us to be, guide us to be, convict us, teach us, humble us, Lord, so that we could be the people of God who are faithful in the uncertain times, who trust in the uncertainty and the fear, who seek out your heart and your lordship above all of the lordship and principalities of this world. Lord, help that to be the truth of our future as a church, no matter what it may bring. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. If you could stand, we're going to sing one last song together. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now, I'm laying it down. I know that I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. And I don't have the context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you. Run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. My heart has been in your sights long before
a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart found a surgeon, my soul found a friend. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, again and again and again and again. Oh, 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 again and again.
Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Hopefully, Taylor's message spoke to you in the ways that you needed to hear for this week. Yeah, if you need to talk to anybody or you feel compelled to take that next step, you can talk to anybody up here on the stage, in the back, or wherever Taylor went. Thank you and have a great week.